The transition was in a parking lot. Who had sidewalk chalk? Bisco. Who knew what their bike was?
Did you create arrows to your bike?
I actually did.
Shut the fuck up.
Yes.
No way.
Yes, I created arrows like joint this way. And I had already counted the number of rows. I had banned my transition.
Yes, that's like 30 chests right there.
Yeah.
All right, and hello and welcome again to another Multisport Monthly. Of course, my name is Coach Brian. Along with me, as always, is Coach Joy and Coach Chris. Welcome everybody to another broadcast of our Tri312 Multisport Monthly, where we talk about everything that's been going on in our world of multisport here in the Chicagoland area. And there is a lot going on, or is in better motion going forward for things that are we're hoping to hype up a little bit, and hopefully people start hearing more about over the next coming weeks. So excited to talk about those things. But before we do, guys, how was y'all's weekend? Anything triathlon, multisport related over this past couple of days?
It was a good weekend.
Yeah,
Just mostly training.
that's good.
Chris?
I did the Chi-Town 10K and half marathon. I did the 10K and enjoyed a Portillo's hot dog, Chicago style, afterwards. So it was cold and windy, but hey, got a 10K in, and then spent the rest of the weekend watching all of the triathlon action with the T100 series, with the Super Tri Series, with Oceanside. So 3 major kind of global events, if you will, kicking off the triathlon season. So it was fun to get a little excited and motivated for the season ahead.
Yeah, I mean, we are early April, so season is kicking off. We have our inaugural 70.3 Ironman races happening, so all of a sudden it's going to be here in Chicago before we know it. And I think technically I did my own sort of solo indoor try, or I guess solo indoor aquathlon. So went down to Munster, Indiana for the Illinois State Master Swim Meets
In Indiana.
Yes, of course. So to say though, and I think I talked about this last year, but the facility down there is just spectacular. I mean, it's first class, top notch all the way. But I signed up for the 500-yard swim that started off first thing that morning. Got that in. Drove back here to Chicago and did, because it's still a little bit too cold for me, for outdoor running. I know that sounds very odd, especially for the tourists out there that hate running on treadmills, and I get it. But I did still get my 7-mile treadmill run in. So I did my own little indoor duathlon, aquathlon yesterday. Felt good about it, and ready to chat about more things triathlon related, indoor related, which would be sort of our one of the first things we're going to be chatting about coming up. So anyway, and then on the nerd side, we got to talk about this because tickets now go on sale today for the Thunderbolts, which I'm super excited for. I know Joy and I are excited for. Thanks, Joy. Any premonitions, any forecasting, anything that you're expecting to happen in Thunderbolts this weekend?
No, not saying anything.
Okay.
Not saying anything. Am I spoil it?
Well, I think technically Marvel sort of semi-spoiled it for everybody.
Yeah, they
with
did.
the 5 or 6 hour long chair introduction to Avengers Doomsday. As I think how many characters? Like I think they said 5 or 6 that apparently are still returning for Doomsday. There was one noticeable admission though.
Yes.
So I'm sure we may have somebody not making it out of Thunderbolts. Asterisks. Chris, are you super excited for the Thunderbolts coming?
I am. I'm thinking we need to coordinate our indoor tri schedule in the future with Marvel movie releases.
Field trip.
Have a indoor tri followed by a movie premiere outing in the future. So
All right. So this doubles as Multisport Triathlon Conversation /
Marvel Universe.
MCU. Yeah.
Multisport Marvel Mondays.
There you go.
Ooh, I like that.
We may have to sort of add in a little bit of out of the theater review come our pre-Sunday pre-taping of our Multisport Monthly. What do you think?
Definitely.
All right. Well, let us know if that would be something you'd be interested in, especially this hybrid of multisport and MCU nerd. Please, I'm sure there's many of us out there. Come to our channel.
They can't be the only ones.
Speaking of stuff that's coming up, before we get into all of the indoor, long course, short course stuff that we're going to be talking about today, anything that else is coming up in the general or social component of goings on with our Chicagoland multi-sport community?
Yeah, I know there's indoor tries are in full swing. We've had pretty much a local indoor try every week for the last 3 or 4 weeks. And we've got at least 3 more coming up. There's one up in Pleasant Prairie at the Recplex Center and one with the Together We Try group, both this weekend. And then next weekend, we have our indoor try. So Together We Try is up at Glenview, and then ours is right downtown. So April 19th, Tri312.com. Folks want to sign up.
All links down below on the description. So if you're interested in any of one of those, please just go down to the description, click the link. Should be good to go. And yeah.
Yeah, and then there's a lot going on the rest of this month as well. So pretty much the Chicago Triathlon training season really kicks off in May as people start to get ready for the races in June. But we have the first timers program for the Chicago Tri kicking off on April 23rd. So that's kind of like the unofficial start of, hey, I need to think about training now. If you've been holed up in all winter long and thinking about tri training, now is the time to put that to action and start to get a training plan together and get things started. So that'll be our first clinic, just a Zoom webinar to kind of talk about triathlon and talk about training. There's a couple other events coming up as well. April 25th, BFF has their Tri Social, their monthly triathlon social event, kicking off the training season, if you will. And then the following day, April 26th, Dare2Tri has their start the season fundraiser. And we're actually going to be there kicking off the Chicagoland Tri Series that we're going to be talking about a little bit. So yeah, a lot of events coming up the next couple weeks.
So for anybody that's watching, if they're not associated with or not familiar with BFF Bikes or maybe not even affiliated with a tri club, what would be an incentive or what would be a good reason for them to maybe come check out one of the socials with BFF or check into what Dare2Tri is doing? And even if they can't make it, how would be a way for them to participate or support?
Yeah, I think just hanging out. There's a lot of different outlets when it comes to the BFF Tri Socials. People who are cyclists or just interested in bike stuff. There's a lot of bike themes that we bring into the Tri Socials at BFF Bikes. If you're tri-curious, thinking about triathlon, wanting to learn a little bit more. And then the Dare2Tri event is just a fun event if you want to, cheer on and support a local nonprofit that does a lot for para-adaptive athletes. There's a 5K fun run that kicks off the day, and then it's really just a social event. It's food, drinks, music, hanging out, raffle prizes. So it's a great way to just get involved in other endurance sports activities in the Chicago area. So
it's also a good way of just meeting people. Mm-hmm. If you're like trying to figure out, who do I train with? Who's training for what? You can find out at any of these socials or any of these events who's might be doing the same race you're doing. They might be a newbie. They might be an experienced racer. Just getting that camaraderie because you can't do the sport alone.
Yeah, 100%. What are your favorite things about the socials? Any social events that you've been to? Can be anyone, whether it's BFF, Chicago Tri Club, Dare2Tri, the ones that you guys put on or host. What are the favorite things about a tri social event?
My favorite is just reconnecting with people I haven't seen in a while. In Chicago, our triathlete audience tends to go into their cave in the winter mysteriously crawl out, like the groundhog peeking out and taking a look and be like, oh no, so it's going to be a couple more weeks, couple more months of not training, and then once we get that first warm day, and we actually had a pretty nice couple of days that popped up not too long ago, got 70 degrees, so people started coming out of the woodwork, but I think
And then it got cold.
yeah, when the lake is still in the 40s, people aren't out there swimming. But I just found another athlete. We have, I think, 3 or 4 athletes, all doing Alcatraz. So we might actually have some lake swims coming up in the next month, or some unofficial outings.
Good luck to them. Enjoy it, everybody.
It's sometimes with the help of guest speakers.
Oh,
It's lovely to hear another perspective from someone outside of someone actually in person, instead of reading an article, or maybe listening to a podcast. Sometimes you want to connect with a local trainer or a local physical therapist. That's what I like. But I also like, meeting new people.
No, like when you have a speaker that's there, it almost like brings the information to life just a little bit more. You just hear it just a little bit differently, but also maybe even just having that opportunity to connect with that speaker. You got questions about something very particular that they are speaking on. It's nice to be able to have that interaction.
And then hearing that different perspective.
Yeah.
Yep, and a lot of new people. We just had the Chicago Tri Club just had their monthly social the other week, and there were a lot of new people getting into triathlon for the first time. It was a full house. I know the North Avenue Swimming and Triathlon group, they just had a season kickoff as well, and I think they had over 50 people there. And I know at the CTC social, you bump into people you don't expect either. One of our local well-known registered dietitians, Monique Ryan, she was there. She just launched a new book. She published a new edition of her book.
Nice.
So she was there talking about it, and having access to a industry leader like that at just a local social is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people find that the socials are not just about being social, but also learning and getting to know some unique experts that are in our market.
Sweet. I do remember that. I know the last couple of years when our friends with Ironman have been able to put on like sort of multi-club, multi-coach socials, where it's not like any one particular group that somebody may be associated with or coming in to meet others. But I know I really enjoyed a lot of those because I got to meet other clubs and people from those clubs, and knowing sort of what goings on they've got happening in their club and their community, whether it's how they conduct trainings or how they organize their group rides. It's just fun to know sort of what others are doing, what they're finding successful. And especially as a coach, like if you're looking to sort of collaborate or even just, join in, spitball off some ideas, all that's a lot of fun. So I enjoyed that. Nice. Okay, speaking of indoors, so any other updates on indoor tries? Anything you guys want to impart onto our community here for our indoor try coming up in a few weeks?
Yeah, I would just say get signed up, whether you want an indoor try. We also just opened registration for the Chicago Triathlon Open Water Swim Clinics.
Great.
So Scott Hoopmacher, shout out to him and the Open Water Swim Chicago.com swim clinic series. They will sell out. Every year they're selling out earlier and earlier and earlier. So I'd encourage people to really think about signing up for those early in the season, because I can guarantee that, maybe not the first one, but definitely the remaining 3 will sell out. And I wouldn't be surprised if the first one actually does sell out as well. So triathlon is coming back full force. We're seeing almost like a 25 to 30% increase in people under 30 signing up for triathlon. So there's this new kind of surge coming through, and the collegiate club programs, they just had the nationals down in Miami for that, is really growing. And so I would think, those races that you think, oh, it's probably not going to sell out, like
What a bit.
if you're not signed up for your events now, time to pull the trigger.
Cool. Moving on to long course action that started everything off this April. So we had a couple of different events over the last weekend. We got events coming up. Obviously, our Rockford event is sold out, but there's going to be a lot of information that people might be looking for in terms of like what's happening with that event, any prep racing or training things that are happening out in Rockford, things like that. But talking about the events that just happened this past weekend, any news to report, any updates, anything that you found interesting or noteworthy about our 7.3 and Ironman events this past weekend?
Local or are we talking about national?
National. Yeah.
I mean, so nice that we're going to talk about come over weekend. It's a starting international. We have the T1 series kicked off, and that was a fun one to watch. They're swimming in, I think, almost 90-degree water.
Yes.
A lot of it's getting a rude awakening to racing in the heat. So it was fun to watch the pros struggle as they struggle just like we do. And then also in Oceanside, it was kind of like the Oceanside I've noticed has really become over the last several years kind of the kickoff of the Ironman circuit and the Ironman season.
In the U.S.
In the U.S. at least, yeah. I mean, several athletes, some Chicago athletes who don't live in Chicago anymore. Shout out to Brett Doherty, Kristen Hunick. They both raced, I think, 6 hours or just under 6 hours for their first season openers. So always like to shout out to those Chicago athletes if we know they're out there racing. It was fun to watch the broadcast. I don't know if any of you guys watched Lionel Sanders won again. Had a really, really strong run, but I think it was also fun to see Christian Blumenfeld. He had a flat tire, and then hosted like a 107 half marathon run. So got some ground to up. So that creates a lot of good drama for the next time those two match up. Lionel and Christian will be racing head to head again. Gustav Eden had kind of a comeback as well. So the Norwegians were doing good. It's fun to watch, fun to see all the excitement come back full swing. And I know locally we don't have any big half Ironmans yet, but a Rockford countdown has begun. We're not that far away. What is it? 2 days
between all of our sort of kickoff races between Leon's or Pleasant Prairie. I mean, Rockford is right there.
So roughly,
if you haven't started your training and you're doing Rockford, you better start ramping up ASAP right now. It's going to come real quick. I know there's actually a time trial event taking place near Rockford later this month. So April 27th, I think, the Cherry Valley time trial.
Yes.
It's a short distance bike time trial event. Could be a good opportunity for people to dust off their bikes and get out there and do some outdoor riding early in the season. I know there's talk of there being a group ride of the Rockford course. I haven't seen a date yet for that, but we will probably just make our own official one if there's no official one. So stay tuned.
And a lot of that information, if you're not already signed up on our Facebook page, our 7.3 Rockford Facebook page, link will be down below.
Please
There's
join
a lot of updates will be coming through there in addition to anything that we can post, even if it's a quick short that's on our page and on the socials.
Yep.
Joel, any feedback on you on the long course this weekend?
You know what? Well, there was two courses that was happening. Oceanside was, of course, Saturday. Texas 30.3 was yesterday. They canceled the swim because of weather and not so good water conditions, but it was a very windy bike. That's usually a lead up into Ironman Texas, which is the first Ironman of the season, which is in about 3 or 4 weeks now.
Yep.
So, for those of you who are in the Chicagoland area, looking at doing Oceanside, be prepared for cold water. The swim was about 57 degrees. So,
it's brisk.
Just a little brisk. Just be prepared for a cold swim, especially in the early season, especially in the Pacific Ocean.
So we have a race that had a swim canceled. So I know this is a little bit more impromptu, but you guys, like if you've ever been to, I'm sure we've all experienced it. Been to a race, you're ready to go for the full thing. When a portion gets either shortened or canceled, what goes through your mind? Are you disappointed? Are you enthusiastic? Do you feel like it doesn't count? Because I'm sure we have a lot of people that either have experienced that before, try to wrestle with their mental emotions during, especially if it happens like the morning of. What are some of the things that that go through your minds, but also what are some of the things like sort of mental positive self-talk that you guys give yourself to help sort of reshift your focus and still want to have a good day at the race?
Number one, I'm the one who hates it when the swim is either canceled or shortened. I love the swim, and the swim be longer, the bike be shorter, and the run be longer.
Yeah.
But
It's just about to run.
you actually just have to, okay, you came up the way, you did the training.
Yeah.
You just have to, okay, it's a different race now. You have to keep that in mind, especially if the swim is canceled. Well, it's the time the trials start. Now you start thinking about strategy now because they're going in numerical order.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing that is kind of a mind mess up. Oh, I'm going to go in order. Things going to change. But guess what? You don't have to wake up early. If the swim is canceled, you don't have to wake up as early to get all your gear together. You're just going to be biking and running. It's just a long break. And that's what I start thinking about. If the swim is shortened, okay, I don't have to swim this long. So you just have to go with the punches because you don't know what Mother Nature is going to give you. You actually train for the race that you're given, not the race that you want. Always remember that.
Or that you get.
There you go.
Chris?
Yeah, I go right into, not being too, excited or disappointed. I try to focus on the task at hand, but when they cancel a swim, that's usually better for me. No, I love, coaching swim. I consider myself an okay swimmer. The bike and the run are definitely a little bit better for me in general. So I think, get excited about that at least. But I like all multi-sport combinations, regardless of what happens. But I go right into kind of planning mode of like, okay, how do I adapt? How do I prepare now for this? And usually when the swim gets canceled is because it's windy. So typically that might mean it's also colder in the morning.
Yeah.
And when you start cold, that can be a little bit rough. So I try to stay warm, find ways to warm up, whether it's doing a jog. Sometimes I've actually done this where I've kept my wetsuit on.
Yeah.
It was like a late cancellation just to stay warm and protect myself from the wind, and then just take it off, at the last minute when that, or 15 minutes maybe before the start. So I try to go into that planning mode and thinking about hydrating and fueling, because usually it's been a cancellation. It's also a delay. And so that it doesn't start right away. And then you might have another hour, 2 hours or more. I've had that happen at Ironman Florida. I've had that happen at Racine, a lot of races. And, sometimes I don't have enough nutrition. And so I try to go right away and think about, okay, where can I get a snack? Where can I get some more hydration,
Right.
to get myself ready to race and make the most of whatever happens.
Gotcha. Great advice, guys. And it's not a matter of if, but when. So if and when you get to that race and a portion that you've been training for gets canceled, maybe it's one of your favorite portions that gets canceled. Just remember, everybody's going through the same thing, right? Every other athlete is also having that same experience. And remember that you prepared for whatever was to come, and do your best. Just try to take deep breaths and think, what, I'm just going to do the best with the course and the environment that is presented to me, and just have fun and enjoy the experience.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Biggest news that's coming up. We saved the short course conversation for last today because we had a great conversation with a lot of the principals last week about the new, old but new, old but back to you again. Not sure how to say it, but it is back again. The Chicagoland Tri Series of 3 key races in our greater Chicagoland series, or Chicagoland area, which is the Leon Triathlon in Indiana, the Pleasant Prairie race in Wisconsin, culminating at the big Chicago Triathlon here in Illinois at the end of August. So great conversation, great updates on and plan moving forward. We want to help spearhead and also bring enthusiasm to the idea of this race and to this race series. And if people may not be as familiar with it, but I think we've got a good track going forward. And even if there's not a lot of participation this first time through, hopefully we get a lot of people that hear about it and start wanting to know more information. But between all three race principals, our partners and friends with Dare2Tri, and us trying to broadcast it as much as possible, hopefully we can start hearing and seeing more good positive things building for this Chicago Trailland series. So, Chris, you kind of helped spearhead a lot of the conversation getting going for last week. Any key learnings or updates from that chat that you'd like our audience to know?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is just, awareness, letting people know about the series. It's kind of a unique opportunity. If you look at all the races in the Midwest, we have the USAT National Championships in Milwaukee this year and next year. And to qualify for nationals for the competitive athletes, the Chicagoland Tri Series is a great way to know that these are states championships in the case of Wisconsin at Pleasant Prairie Tri, and for Illinois at the Chicago Tri. So a higher percentage of finishers will qualify to then go to the national championships in Milwaukee. So if that's in the back of your mind as an athlete, even if you're middle of the packer progressing through the ranks, it can be a nice little, carrots to go after to try to qualify for nationals is always a notch on the belt, so to speak. And Leon's Tri is Military and First Responders National Championship. And another unique thing about all three of those races are they are very supportive of para or adaptive athletes. And so they will have high participation with the Dare2Tri community. If you're familiar with Dare2Tri, you can actually sign up for all three races in the series by simply signing up with Dare2Tri. And that way you can support not just the mission of what Dare2Tri does to support adaptive athletes, but also be part of some of the biggest races in the area. So the Dare2Tri sign-up option, if you want to, you can fundraise. If you fundraise $1,000, they will cover all of your race entries. And you get some great team perks, and you're supporting a great cause.
I can't think of a better idea than that.
Yeah, right. And we're going to be kicking off the season. They have the start the season, the Dare2Tri kind of annual season kickoff event taking place April 26th.
Yep,
I think.
Yep, Saturday, April 26th.
Yep, coming up. It's at a new venue, a nice little brewery area. So definitely check that out. But that's a great way to get involved. But if you're not wanting to fundraise, you can also complete the series by just registering for any distance of event across the series. It doesn't have to be sprint or Olympic. It can be super sprint. It can be a relay. As long as you participate in all three events, you can register on the Chicago Tri website and let us know. And at the finish at Chicago, once you complete that third event, Leon will be there himself to hand out some swag items. So the race directors and the organizers of all three races will be there to just say thank you for participating in the series. So we've got a cool new swag item that we're going to soon reveal. That'll be an extra little incentive to complete the series. It also goes hand in hand with USAT membership. So we do require, if you want to be eligible for the series, you do need to be a USAT annual member, which it's actually worthwhile because it'll, I think, cost less if you become a member than paying the 1-day permit fee for each.
It pays for itself.
Depending on the distance. So you get a lot of perks. You get ranked. You get a chance to go to nationals. And you can support both Dare2Tri and USA Triathlon. So a lot of great organizations that really support and help develop the multisport community, especially here in the Midwest. So I'd encourage anyone and everyone, if you're a local athlete looking for some fun races to do, try to pencil all three of those events in your calendars. So you can go on each of the websites. Pleasant Prairie has a page about it. Leon's Tri's website has a page about it. And the Chicago Triathlon, we have a page about it. So you can find the information. Just look up or Google the Chicagoland Tri Series, complete all three races, and get some extra swag.
Yeah. Joy, what are you looking forward to most with these new Tri Series coming to the Chicagoland area?
I'm interested in seeing the more participation.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. With Leon's literally is around the corner, which is several weeks. If you haven't started training, please start. Just seeing the progress. And one of the beauties, if you're in the Chicagoland area, Pleasant Prairie is over the border. Leon's is over the border. It's only, 30, 45-minute drive.
Yeah.
Depending on traffic and how fast you drive. Keyword here.
Yeah, and you're also getting up pretty early in the morning, so the drive there shouldn't be too bad. And hopefully you'll just enjoy a nice, relaxing drive back, and
Yes.
either wherever you are in the Chicagoland area. But yeah, hopefully we do get a little bit more participation. So I know that Chris, you guys have some like honest goals for year one, but to Joy's point, hopefully we get a little bit more than we expect and continue to build over the next several years.
Yeah, I mean, the goal is just to build the awareness for this year.
Yeah.
So we hope to get some pioneers that want to be part of the inaugural. It's technically not the inaugural Chicagoland Tri Series. I should mention that several years ago, Scott Hutbacher, he put together a series between just Leon's Tri and the Chicago Tri. And that had some competitive aspects to it as well. You can kind of win the series for your age group. We probably plan to bring that into the series starting next year, but this year it's just a participation challenge. But I know I won the sprint series for my age group back when they had it, and I got motivated by that myself.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping to bring the competitive side to it once we get the participation numbers up. So if you want to see it grow, if you want to support these races, do the whole series, help us bring a new little challenge to the Midwest.
And speaking of challenge, I would like to challenge all of those viewers out there, whether as an individual, part of a club, get your clubs involved. It would be great looking forward to see what other things that we can bring into this Tri Series and make it even bigger in terms of an incentive for athletes to race, whether it is for bragging rights, to create some sort of like year-end or Tri Series finale events to really highlight any of the athletes that are that have participated, that maybe won an age group, participated in all three, something like that. Maybe have its own tri club competition, which would be a lot of fun. So if there's anyone that's out there that's watching that has ideas or would like something for us to pitch or to incorporate into this Triland series, please let us know. Comment down below, find us on the socials, send us an email, let us know what you might think. If you're thinking this is something you want to be involved in, you're like, wait, this sounds great. I would also like to see this year-end events, more competition, more incentives through the clubs or individuals. Then let us know what that might look like, and we'd be happy to have a conversation with all of our principals to see what else we can bring to make this just a little bit bigger and bigger each and every year.
Yeah, and I'd love to profile some people who are doing this series.
Oh yeah,
and feature their stories. And yeah, it's a neat opportunity, and we'd love to get feedback too.
Yeah.
I would love to hear from people. What would you like to see in a Tri Series? We're trying to highlight the races that have some fun and unique aspects to them. The ones that are also very convenient for Chicago athletes. So if you live in Chicago in a city, sometimes it's hard to get to races. Like if you have to do a packet pickup the day before.
all right.
And actually both Leon and Pleasant Prairie's Tri have a race day packet pickup option, which is a really nice thing as well. It's a small add-on fee, but for the convenience, that can be a pretty nice deal maker for people that are looking for a triathlon without having to worry about like a 2-day commitment.
I am more than happy to pay that extra. Yes, exactly. All right. So as we close out our Multisport Monthly, we did want to bring in a few little tips and tricks here, since we do have Leon's coming right around the corner. And to be completely honest, Pleasant Prairie is too, as well as Rockford 70.3. So, one thing that we, I think, forget about sometimes when it comes to our training, as Joy has said, if you haven't started training, it's probably not a bad idea to start doing that now, start ramping that up. But one of the things I think we forget to practice, because we're so involved in like swim, bike, run, hopefully you're adding a little strength there, like all the things that you're doing outdoors in the gym, is we forget the fourth part of triathlon, which is transition. So from y'all's experience, we want to impart a few little tips and tricks on anything that you might have out there for, especially those that are training on their own. When you're with a club, a lot of times they will organize transition training opportunities for their team members. So that's a huge advantage. If you're looking for an advantage of why to join a club, join a team, that is a big one, because you get to do it as a group, as a team, and it's a lot of fun. But for those that are just out there flying solo, training individually, what are some of the things, any tips that you guys might have about either setting up or creating a transition training area so that they can kind of learn or get into the habit of what a transition might look like or what it would feel like. Joy.
Since I do my biking indoors and my running outdoors, I set up my running shoes, my running gear ready to go. So once I get off the bike, I'm getting out my cycling shoes, getting out my running shoes, grabbing my keys because I'm going to be running outdoors.
Yeah.
And try to go as quickly as possible. I'm always practicing bike to run transitions. Even in the summer when I'm commuting to work, I will bike to work on the divvy and I might do a 10, 15-minute run right off of it. So that's one of the biggest things to just start doing now, because you don't want to be that person on race day. You're getting off the bike and you have no idea what you are doing. You forget to take off your helmet, or there's been people who did the run with their helmet on. It does happen. So
I think it's called a super tri event.
they don't know how to set up their stuff, and I know we all can attest to this, where everyone brings everything and the kitchen sink. Keep it simple. Your transition area is going to be small because it's just not your bike, and all this real estate is everyone else's bike. So not this.
It's great. Thanks, Trey. Yes.
Yeah, I think, playing off that, I think it's important to practice your transitions before race day and in the gear you plan to use on race day. So it's good to, when you're doing your brick workouts, biking and then running afterwards, think about like setting up a towel, set up your shoes, put your socks the same way, have your hat, visor, sunglasses, everything kind of set up in a consistent way. So by race days, you're on autopilot.
Yeah.
And I think there's also some things that you can do to practice doing good transitions. For T1, one thing that I like to do is always have a mantra in my head. This I got originally from the Age Grouper podcast a long time ago. A couple of guys in the suburbs put together a good triathlon podcast. Actually, maybe we should invite them onto our podcast. Yes. Go look them up. Eric DeWitt and I forget the other guy's name. Anyhow, they had a mantra. It was sock, shoe, glasses, helmet, go.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like something short, simple, it rhymed, but that's all you need to be thinking about when you're doing your transition. You come out of the swim, got socks on if you have socks, or if you skip that, shoes on, glasses, helmet, and go. Everything else should be on the bike, should be set up, and try to have that mantra in your head. I've changed it up. I now do sock, shoe, so that you put your sock on and then slide your foot in, make it a little quicker. But I think having that mantra or something to practice is important. If you're doing an Ironman event where you're traveling and you might be doing your transition out of a bag instead of a setup area, practice packing it and practice it in like a hotel room. Like literally take your bag, time yourself, have someone videotape you or whatnot, and make it interesting. Put a little pressure on yourself so you can have that race atmosphere going. I think that is really, really important just to practice both T1. And then for T2, my biggest tip for T2 are really two quick T2 tips. On the bike, try to get used to finishing the bike with a really high cadence, like shifting into easy gear. Even on a spin bike, if you're practicing it indoors for now, get your legs spinning at a cadence that you're going to be running at. So your legs are used to that firing rate. Yeah. And so that you don't have a heavy foot or swollen foot feeling, which oftentimes happens when you grind at a really low cadence. So try to get your cadence up to 90 RPMs or more to simulate what cadence you're going to be running at in the final mile or two before you hop off the bike or just for the final couple of minutes. That really helps in terms of practicing your transitions. And two, the second tip for the T2 transition is anything that you can do moving, do moving.
Yeah.
So if you have a race belt, that might be something new. If you're new to triathlon that you haven't thought about is the bib number that you have to wear. You might have to put that on a belt, an elastic belt to put on. If you have any nutrition, hydration, sunglasses, hat, take all of that, put it together and just grab it and put everything on while you're moving through transition.
Yeah.
You can save literally minutes of time by just practicing and preparing for that.
Oh, what some we do is have a go bag, like a little Ziploc bag with your nutrition, whatever you need. You just grab that, have everything in your hat. If you wear a hat, and just start on the go, hat on, glasses on. You might already have your glasses already on from the bike. Throw on that race belt, get that nutrition, and just go on the move.
Yeah.
You save so much instead of fumbling around like, oh crap, where is everything?
And especially if it might turn out to be a rainy day.
Put
Everyone
everything.
who knows me knows my Ziploc bag tricks. I have Ziploc bags for everything, just in case it rains.
You never know.
Yeah, and keep things simple that way. I write a little checklist on the Ziploc bag, know what needs to go in it, and just reuse that same thing every time.
Nice. I'm going to have 2 tips and tricks. And the first is going to be, especially if you're new and never done this before, definitely go online. I would say we also have a visual that is on our page, and we'll send a link to this at the end of our video. But you can see what a transition looks like be able to visualize what to expect when you're going in from the swim, transitioning to the bike into the run, just to kind of see what the flow looks like. What other athletes, there's a lot of great videos of seeing pros do it. You may not necessarily be that efficient, but at least just get a feel for see what it looks like, right? So that you're not surprised by it when you go, like somebody did to their first triathlon and was like, what am I doing here? But thankfully there's a lot of great athletes that are part of our community that will help give you some guidance, like, hey, this is how this should look. This is where your bike needs to go. But they're also going to be probably worried about their own transition. So don't rely on that, but go on YouTube, go find some videos. We have a few that you can see what a transition looks like. And then again, flying solo, be able to maybe just set up a little area like in a park, in a parking lot. And you don't have to go very far because again, if you're flying solo, if you don't have the ability to bring somebody with you or have somebody there for support, if you're just trying to do it on your own, be able to find a little area where you can just throw in your wetsuit, learn how it feels to just, run toward your area of the bike, stripping that wetsuit off, taking it off, transitioning, grabbing your bike, doing your sock, shoe, helmet, sunglasses, and then running away from that area, turning around, running back with your bike, putting that bike up, transitioning out of your bike clothes or items, and then transitioning to your run stuff. So even just that little bit, it may not be exact, but it's close enough to at least get a feel for running with your items, or going from one position into a completely new position of swim to bike, bike to run. So there's just little things that can help you just sort of get a feel for it, almost at least be able to visualize it so that by the time you get to race day, it's not totally and completely alien.
Yeah, because once you're in a race environment, sometimes you have race brain and you're not, your adrenaline's pumping.
Raise your hand if you've had race brain where you've not done a great transition.
If you want to see even the pros, he was here at the Super Tri Championship at the end of the season. 2 people, both in the men's race and the women's race, came out of the T2 transition with their bike helmets on for different reasons, but even the pros mess things up.
So yeah, and it's who has had race brain? Neither of y'all race trained. So well, then transition, it's am I the only one?
So my very first triathlon was, I wish they would bring it back, the Danske Women's Triathlon. So I am kind of visually impaired without my glasses on. The transition was in a parking lot. Who had sidewalk chalk? Bisco. Who knew where their bike was?
Did you Bisco create arrows to your bike?
I actually did.
Shut the fuck up.
Yes.
No way.
Yes, I created arrows joy this way. And I had already counted the number of rows I had banned my transitions.
Yeah, that's 30 chests right there.
Yeah. Because when you have to race with, I don't race with contacts.
Yeah.
So usually my glasses are at my bike, unless there is a glasses special needs table at the swim finish. If it's not, sometimes my glasses have actually been in my sports bra. So, ladies, there's a reason for the sports bra. Come on.
There you go.
Yeah,
I've still been here every time.
I've messed up a few things myself over the years. I try to be very focused, but when I really got into triathlon early on, didn't really know what to expect. I didn't think about things like I wore my bike gloves on the bike, and then would forget to take them off. And so I do the run wearing my bike gloves for the whole run. So you can make those little mistakes.
Just wear gloves.
That's why you want to practice. Every year we actually do a little transition clinic for a team and age group, and we intentionally practice it multiple times. Because the first time and the second time, sometimes you'll do something without even thinking about it, and you'll start to learn how you can do it better. So if you want to, I'd say if you want to take advantage of opportunities in those kind of high pressure scenarios, consider doing the indoor tri coming up April 19th. Shameless plug there, but go to tri312.com, sign up today. That is a good way to, under a high heart rate, kind of high pressure time scenario, even though everyone gets the same set amount of time and doing it faster doesn't help you in any way, it's still a tight time frame. And so you have to go through everything within that specific amount of time. You got 10 minutes for T1, 5 minutes for T2. And so, changing your gear, drying off, getting things ready, getting your bike set up, like that takes time. And going through that helps you practice. And it will also help you think about how to pack your gear the day before so that it is ready for race day. So that's April 19th. Another good event, the open water swim clinics actually have an aquathon division, so it's a swim run event.
Right.
Even though it's a very different transition, it's still the same thing. That kind of high pressure racing environment gets you thinking about things, and it'll get you to start to think about, hey, maybe I should everything the way I want to use it the day before, not just wait until race morning to think about how are you going to lay everything out.
Yeah. And speaking of time, I think people forget that, especially if you've never done this before, that your transition is part of your total time.
The clock keeps ticking.
Clock keeps ticking. So if you're looking to, if you're trying to shave up, I want to be a little bit faster. This is the time I'm looking for. And if you're spending a lot of time, at this point, you're probably not going to get a ton faster on each one of the disciplines of swim, bike, and run. But if you're looking to shave off another minute, 30 seconds, something like that, that might make a big difference, especially, when you see some transition times that we've seen in short races where you've got people that have spent 3 to 8 minutes in a transition because they're just not as familiar with what to expect. But if you can keep those down to 2 minutes or less, that's a lot of time that you didn't have to spend, and could be a substantial in terms of your overall time, and could be a lot of fun to see hey man, I kicked ass in the transitions,
and especially in the shorter the distance, right?
Well,
so in a sprint distance, if you think about it, right, and this is when we do our transition clinics in the summertime, we practice this to show people the difference. Literally by practicing for 30 minutes on one day, so 30 minutes of total training time commitment, I can usually turn people into what the equivalent would be of running 30 seconds a mile faster, which you might spend all year or multiple years trying to run 30 seconds a mile faster.
Yeah.
And you can literally shave that same amount of time by just shaving 90 seconds in transition. And most people, if you really focus, can get and shave off 90 seconds in transition by literally just practicing it 2 or 3 times.
And that could be substantial for those that are trying to vie for a national championship.
Oh yeah. If you're a competitive athlete, you think about how much, training time you put in on swim, bike, and run.
Yeah.
So it's just a small fraction. Only that goes a long way.
Yeah. So hopefully only a little bit of a conversation goes a long way for you out there for your future transition training that I'm sure is now on your calendar going forward. So guys, great chat. Anything else that you'd like to impart before we leave?
The last bit, whatever course you're doing, if you've done it multiple times, don't assume that the course is the same. Never assume that. If you're a seasoned athlete or if you're a new athlete, go to the course talk, read the course maps, because it is your responsibility to know that course inside and out, because they might have changed the course because of construction. It happens all the time. So don't be that person who got lost or shortened the course because you didn't realize you had to go a little bit further up and then turn.
Great advice.
And I'll to wrap up, if anyone is looking for information about a lot of the events that we mentioned, whether it's clinics, events, all that, we're putting a lot of these events on the Tri312 website. So people go to tri312.com. We have a calendar where we cross-list other indoor triathlons and events. I'm also working on a Chicago Triathlon community calendar, which will be a Google Calendar that people can have access to find everything: clinics, events, first timers program, open water swims, social events, you name it. So if you have events out there, if anyone has events coming up that you would like us to add to this Chicago Triathlon community calendar, let us know and we'll get that added.
Excellent. Great way to wrap things up. Thank you guys. Aussie chats. Excited for what's to come, and will be coming our way, your way. So let's get excited and let's get racing. All right. See you out there.
See you out there.